Hey everyone, this is another episode of Catching Up with the Nerds. With me, your host Tom, and no JC again this week because JC is on holiday yet again. Boo! But do not fear, as I got you guys covered. I've got a guest. I've got somebody who actually reached out to me. Got into my DMs on Instagram and said, "Hey, I like what you guys do. Can I jump in?" I went, "Hell yeah!" Because that's what we do. We open the door to everyone. So please welcome out here with us today, James from How to Game Differently. Hello, James.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Glad we have you here. And by we, I mean me, because I'm all
alone. A singular we.
It's there. It's fun. So, James, how about you introduce yourself just a little bit, and then we go into deeper knowledge of who you are, what makes you tick.
Yeah. So my name's James. Currently been running a YouTube channel called How to Game Differently, which the whole premise there is to get people into playing video games in different ways that they may have not realized they could do. But coming back to the basis of this, I am a dad, so I've not just sneaked in somehow or anything, but no, I am a dad to a absolutely amazing 2-year-old daughter who, it is the absolute world to me. Been married for 4 years coming up in August to my wonderful wife, who I've known since I was 15 years old.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. Well, so I've known her since I was 14. We've been together since we were 15. So yeah, quite a long time.
I can't say anything. So I've known my wife since the age of 20. So it's it's you've got another 5 years on me, but yeah, it's a long time. It's a blessed time.
It is a long time.
Lucky.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I was very lucky to meet her.
Same here. Well, you know what, you got married. That's the clue in there. So
yes, definitely.
Yes. So as you mentioned, you're dad too, and this is where you went, hey, you guys are right up there with the things that you do on your YouTube channel, which is talking about video games and a bunch of other nerd-related topics. And then you relate to what we do because we're trying to make sure that our kids get into what we love and what we enjoy.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like I can't remember how we stumbled across each other on Instagram, but I was checking out your stuff, and I really liked a lot of the stuff you were doing at the beginning, where you were talking about like the evolution of the PlayStation games, as well as like, is Fortnite good for kids, and topics like that, which are really important to talk about for parents, because I've heard so many stories from work that there's dads that find out that their credit card's been maxed out with like £500 of V-Bucks and stuff like that, and it's like, people need to know these things. So I thought that was brilliant. And then obviously,
I think we're part of the first generation of dads that actually are gamers, or that actually full-fledged nerds, if you will, that know, especially in terms of gaming, like we know what sort of tricks are out there for those big companies to make money, and one of those tricks is to get the kids to use the credit card, right? By mistake or or willingly. But it's interesting that we are aware of this, but then not everyone is. So that was the aim of those episodes, is like, look, this is what you're getting into if you let your kids play this or watch this. So we strayed a little bit away from that at the moment with more general topic, but we'll be going back. I think JC and I are very much looking forward to talk about, maybe brush upon those topics one more time and be a bit more on about those topics. Hopefully we'll get back very soon to those bits. So yeah, one kid. Right. So you've done your introduction. We're done. We solid. We like that. Right. Let's talk about you a little bit. And maybe when you were a kid and what that was like. Were you a nerd from the very beginning, or were you talked into or introduced by someone, or were you, what was the vibe growing up?
I think it's just something I stumbled into, to be honest with you. because background, my brother is very sporty. He's all into sports and everything. I am the complete opposite. I do not care for sports whatsoever. Not even esports. I don't even
Not even
follow
esport, yeah.
esport. No, it's just not my thing. I prefer to do the thing than watch people do the thing, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I enjoy playing football and like rugby and all that type of stuff, and that's what I grew up doing. Yeah, no, it was kind of just something that was just there, and I just enjoyed watching certain shows on the telly, you know. So I'm a 90s kid, so you know, I had influences of like Pokemon, Transformers / Beast Wars. That was a big thing back in my childhood. Obviously like the 90s Spider-Man and, you know, cartoon, all those type of things, you know, just resonated to me. And yeah, it's just, again, I just really enjoyed the toys. I was that demographic, you know, there's a show, there's a toy,
And the toys.
you got me. Yeah, I was just right in there. And I was also like really into building things. So like obviously Lego was a big thing, particularly a toy series of things called Bionicles. Yeah, which again I just thought was fantastic, you know, just creative building and designing and all that type of stuff. Hence why I go into engineering for like a career and stuff like that. So all that kind of stuff built into what I enjoy to do for work. And yeah, and then my uncle, one of my uncles was very kind enough to give me a Sega Mega Drive just out of the blue.
Yes.
And so my very first game I ever played was Sonic the Hedgehog, which I think is a pretty good one to say was your first game to play.
So we did that episode the other day where we talked about how we got into what was like we're talking about the Sonic 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
And I think one of my story was the first time I was actually blown away by a game. And the first memory I had of Sonic was, going to my friend's house, and there was this brother that was a weird guy smoking cigarettes, you know, chain smoking those, and he had this big Mega Drive on the floor, and I was like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's awesome, it's so fast, it's Sonic. Yes, I love it. So that was the first video game that had a massive impact on me. But yeah, I feel what you're saying, you know, it's like, you've been raised well. If you were raised on the Mega Drive, you're fine.
Don't get me wrong, I was absolutely terrible at it, but it was it was the first game I played. I can't remember. I think the other one was like a Mortal Kombat, which obviously my mum saw and just took away from me. I was like 6 years old at the time. So she took that away straight away. And then the same uncle gave me his Nintendo 64, which had Ocarina of Time and Mario 64, which was kind of my main thing that I started playing. And I'm very into my Nintendo games and such, so that was a big influence as well. But yeah, like I say, it was just mainly a lot of 90s TV shows and cartoons and stuff that was just on at the time. I just really enjoyed and kind of stuck to it. But I guess one of the probably the biggest influencing of nerd culture to me was my dad, who was absolutely absolutely massive comic book fan. He's at our family home, it's just mountains and mountains of comic books, like just like first editions of like crazy series. And he's got them all in boxes. I'm like, you gotta have to do something with them, you have to display them or something. But
if he's got some rare, like you said, first edition issues comics, it's got to go somewhere for safeguarding, or some sort of,
definitely
not necessarily to sell them, but to go on display or something, or that's still something that is very it's happening around the country. There's always a bunch of expos and a bunch of museums that are looking for that type of content.
Definitely
sitting on a gold mine, maybe. Depends where you want to do it. Practically.
Well, that's the thing.
Is that it? Was he massively into Marvel, or was he a more DC guy, or was he like all around
both?
Everything.
Both. He anything like superhero orientated. So it was. I think my relationship with him has always been very much around Marvel, because I've, favorite superhero Spider-Man. I know it's very cliche because everyone loves Spider-Man, but he's just that character that everyone loves. But it was very much Marvel we always used to speak about. But no, he loved both Marvel and DC.
He must be absolutely over the moon with the entire MCU thing going on right now, which is completely blown up.
It's ridiculous. Like
bigger than anyone could have expected, really. I think. Is that something you shared with him now as well? Like, did you go?
We talk about it all the time. We talk about the MCU all the time. So with Disney Plus having WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and obviously Loki that's just finished. We talk about it pretty much the night after, about our thoughts, and pretty much what you guys have been doing as well.
That's what we do.
It's funny because he always said to me, like, James, this could be like a podcast. I was like, yeah, it could be, but
it is.
Man,
we should get your dad. We should get your dad on the podcast. What if he's coming out in 2 weeks? We could get him on there.
No, that's true. I'll have to see what his schedule is like.
Get him a microphone, get him a nice light, and a computer. That's all we need.
Have a chat with him. We talk about the MCU all the time, and I'm very currently at the moment I'm very into theories, because I do quite a lot of research about certain characters and stuff like that, and then we bounce off each other because he just knows the knowledge from the comic books, whilst I've not been too much into comics. I've been more into the actual series of the cartoons, and that's how I learn a lot of the characters. So obviously Kang was a big reveal at the end of Loki, and it was more of try and pick up some of the names that they dropped and research who that was, and be like, oh, so they've combined a couple of characters into this one character.
There was they seem to be drawing a lot of inspiration from both the cartoons and or the series and the comics, which is always nice that they don't stick to one side or another. I think that's pretty if not clever, but at least a good way to inspire yourselves. It's like, let's not stick to one side of the thing and just trying to be creative with it. I'm a bit like you. I try to look into who they are, because my upbringing was a bit more with DC, like Batman. And, massively into that from the day I was born. Probably, I guess maybe not, but a bit too early. But from a very young age, so I was always more into that more than Marvel, because to me, growing up, Marvel was very much X-Men, and I never really like X-Men as the characters.
I'm the same.
Not really into that. So every time I used to see the Marvel logo, and it was like, oh no, X-Men, run away. And then I would run away to Batman and DC. But I've learned now to it's okay to like both. It's actually not just okay, it's actually awesome to like both, because you never lose. Basically, you always get good content. So this is when I'm going to the next phase of our chat, is that the relationship that you have with your dad in terms of growing up, and he had all these comics, like you said, he had that knowledge from Marvel. Is that something that is, again, your daughter's only 2 years old now, so she's getting to that age where when you get to 3-4 years old, this is when they start to have a massive opinion and lacking stuff and being vocal about it, literally. Is the way your dad brought you up around comics and around Marvel, in specifically around those two topics, is that something you think you're going to be doing with your own child? Is that something you're maybe something you're seeking out? Is that something you're looking forward to do? Is that something you're thinking of doing?
Oh no, it's something I'm really looking forward to do. It's the same for my wife. So my wife's very into books. She just loves reading any kind of book. So is my daughter, to be fair. She loves books, and she has done since she was a kid. So it was nice to see that aspect, that she's quite similar to my wife. And then regarding my things, she enjoys seeing them. So in the living room, I've got a glass cabinet with various different figurines. which is one of the hobbies I like to do. Is I've got loads of video game character figurines, Pokemon, Disney/Marvel stuff, Transformers, various different things, and she just looks at it with awe and wants to obviously play. But
can't wait to touch it. And it's like, nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope.
But I did get her a couple of like plushies, and one of the ones she does like is the Pokemon Eevee. So like I said, I'm a very big Pokemon fan, and I've played all the games and all that kind of stuff, and I want her to be able to potentially get into that if she wants to, because I know from my stance that Pokemon is a very safe thing for kids.
Yeah.
Because the series is obviously based for kids, all the media, or everything is based for kids. So I know it's a safe place for her to be, and like I say, she enjoys the characters, and like every Pokemon she sees now is Eevee. So
yeah,
it's not everything's a Pikachu, everything's an Eevee. So I was like, yes, get you into the Eevee crew.
It's funny you mentioned that the safety part of it, because it's not something like growing up and before I had I think before I had my first kid, like the all those questions, all of the things around how violent is an anime, how much, not even necessarily swearing, but like things that your kids will pick up on, like all these things when you watch it growing up, like you're like, it's fine. But then when you become a parent, it becomes this thing which is ultra important. Like for example, now my son, who is about 4.5, he's like there's a change in behavior that he's got after watching certain things. So if I allow him to watch Power Rangers, for example, which growing up myself, I used to, Power Rangers was the thing when I was a kid as well, and I watched it and I was like, it's all right, it's you can tell it's not the greatest in terms of special effects and stuff like that, but it was fun. And now you're watching them, and he has this tendency, once he watches a bunch of episodes, to not turn violent, but like get into fighting games, and like obviously being forced, like to like punch stuff and like jumping off the couch or whatever, and you're like, doesn't do that when he's watching something a bit more chill. So it's really interesting that as a parent that you always will be looking for something that is maybe a bit more wholesome. Like Pokemon is a great pick. Like obviously you don't want to get them on Dragon Ball. Well, you can get them on Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z though. But
around screaming.
You're screaming out.
I'm going Super Saiyan.
Start screaming like, no, you don't want that. So I was gonna go into some recommendations about stuff for like super young kids to get into, but it's maybe too bit too early with that. So is there anything for you that you think you'll be introducing your daughter to, like at an early age to start with, like apart from Pokemon? Is there another? Because I know video games it's tricky as well, but there are things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna. My approach is just kind of like lay it out and see if she's interested and pick it up. And if there's something I'm doing that she's interested to sit and watch, then no issues, kind of thing. I think personally for like video games, it has to be stuff that you can play with them, because obviously there's so many that it's going to be so challenging for their brains to deal with. That there's assistance.
There's a great series, especially for all the keywords you've said up until now. All the Lego series. Like Lego Star Wars, Lego Jurassic Park, which is the one my son's playing right now. 4-year-old is already better than I am in some games. Lego Star Wars, Lego Harry Potter. That's what my daughter got into. That's actually one of the first games she really. And then you can play, like, it doesn't require that much knowledge in video games and how to beat a boss and stuff like that. It's fairly simple. It's just collecting Lego pieces and advancing through the stage. It's pretty vanilla. But it's there's definitely a bunch of stuff. I mean, if you want some good games, you can get your daughter into let me know. Slide into my DMs.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But probably we can do an episode of, if you want, you can join in and do a bunch of recommendations if you got some stuff you discovered. It's the video games. It's slightly harder to manage, though. I feel they're easily games that, from your point, again, it's like TV series as well. Like, it seems to consider to be pretty mild actually for them. Is, for example, the other day I was playing Spider-Man, I think it was, or Miles. I can't remember if it was Miles Morales or the first Spider-Man on PS5.
Yeah.
And then my son was looking at it and was like, it's pretty mild. It's okay. It's just a bunch, like there's a couple fight scenes there and then, but you can just, if you want, you can spend the entire game just flying around the city and trying to discover a bunch of stuff. And then my wife was like, what is this? Like, why are you fighting? Why are you punching that guy? Because my son was like, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, kick his ass. I was like, all right, maybe not. Maybe we'll just stop. And A, we'll stop. And B, how do you know about saying kick his ass?
Yeah.
Like, who do you speak to? That's how I was trying to remember what we were talking about before that. So I'm going to a tangent there. So your daughter is obviously being too slightly early again to controller in her hands.
Oh yeah. So, well, to be fair, like she from a very early age, she did pick up a controller about like maybe 10 months. And it was purely just because she saw me playing with it. So she was like, try to figure it out, press buttons and stuff. And then my mother-in-law got her I can't remember what they're called, but it's one of those like kind of touchy, it lights up, makes sounds, but it was a controller. Yeah. And for like a half an hour car drive, she was playing it and she was immersed with it, and she was like kept like getting different sound effects coming, and she kept looking up at me and smiling because it was like, I'm like dad, and those type of things. So there is a lot of stuff already out there for like really young kids to get into these type of things. But yeah, there was like a controller that I just never used. I was like, here you go, this is yours now. And she just messes around with it as if it was a toy. And it was she was playing with it for a good like 4 months when she was really young.
I found one of the good ones to get started in is Minecraft.
Yes. Yeah.
You can go with I think there's a couple modes in there. There's the adventure mode and the
you got survival, creative, all those type of things. Yeah. And that is all I hear about at work for parents with their kids. If they're playing something, it's like they're playing creative mode. And the thing about Minecraft is it's a amazing tool for learning as well. So so my wife's a teacher, and I keep saying to her, like, you should use this for learning and creativity. And I believe they even had someone come in who did like IT lessons to help with like creativity, art, even coding, because like all the stuff you can do with the what's it, red dust, I can't remember what it's called.
I can't remember which one. I know what you mean, but I can't remember.
Like just all the triggers and stuff like that. It gave them all the kind of like I say, coding side of things. And one of the cool things I've seen with Nintendo, like I always say, if you've got kids and you want to get them a console, always get them a Nintendo console, because they dedicate for children all the time, and it's always pretty safe with them. But they've obviously got a new new game out. I forgot its name now. What's it called?
Which one?
It's a coding one, and it's annoying because I did a video in it, and it's my one good video.
It's the one good one you had. I think I know which one. But anyway, yes.
Let me just look it up.
It's interesting because whilst you're looking it up, there's one thing that was one of those one of those thoughts I had the other day. I was like, growing up, you have the parents are like, you need to dedicate more time doing this and that, and it's like, well, and always looking down at video games in terms of as a medium, if you know what I mean. But when I look at something like Minecraft, it could really inspire somebody to become the next game developer or something that the creative mode allows you to build these massive villages, if you want towns, if you want to, an architect almost, even if you're 10 years old and he teaches you the basics of, this is how you build a house, this is how you lay some stuff out. And I'm not saying that everyone's playing Minecraft is going to become an architect, but
No.
it certainly can develop an interest into how do you build a house, how do you make a village function, how do you position certain things next to other things. And it's really interesting. It's something that certainly in terms as a parent, you shouldn't look at video games and say, well, it's a waste of time. It can inspire people to maybe look at a different career path.
Definitely.
So
it's Game Builder Garage. Game Builder Garage, which is off their Labo creative mode that they had on the Labo series. But that's all game coding, which again really dedicated to kids to design their own games. And then going off of what you're saying with Minecraft and all that kind of stuff, it could eventually lead people to that. And just on what you were saying actually about the whole like what gaming does for people and helping them, I found when I was playing a lot of like The Legend of Zelda and other like games that had a lot of puzzles, it really helped with my puzzle solving.
Yeah.
So when I do my work, a lot of it is trying to solve a problem, and I swear a lot of that came from playing games where it's like doing the 5-step process of why did this happen, how to solve it, how to prevent it, and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I swear a lot of that came from playing video games, because it gives you that digital mindset and that whole problem solving side of things that like me and my wife usually like do some like tests against each other, and anything illiterate she wins, but anything problem solving I win, because that's just how we've both grown up and got ourselves as a skill-based kind of thing. But definitely video games, it helps a lot more than people expect, and it's definitely not something you should dismiss. Obviously, like there will be games out there that are just go rot people's minds, but again, it's how a person approaches to it, and how a parent helps with it as well. My parents were great with me playing video games. They would try and join in wherever they could, particularly my dad. My mum tried as much as she could, bless her, but obviously couldn't really do much, but she tried her best. And my dad, again, played as many games as he could with me and quite enjoyed it. And there was a couple of times.
Was there like a go-to game that you guys used to share, or a bunch of them?
So we used to play Pokemon Stadium a lot on the Nintendo 64, and there's a running joke of me and her, me and my dad, where he would use Blastoise all the time and would use Hydro Pump, and that's how we'd win all the matches, and that was legit. And then we used to play Super Smash Melee, and he would play as Ganondorf, and would always do the Wizard Punch, or I can't remember what it's called, but the big punch, and it would just sometimes throw me off guard, and that's how it maybe occasionally get a couple KOs on me and stuff like that. But yeah, so it was just, and obviously Mario Kart. Mario Kart's obviously a safe one for anyone to play with. Yeah, it's a staple for all families to play and potentially murder each other over and stuff like that.
Well, I tell you what it teaches, though. It teaches patience, and it teaches also sort of motivation to a degree, because it's like you've got to get better too. Well, there's a bit of luck. Well, yeah, there's a bit of luck in Mario Kart, but you've got to persevere to be able to get up to the number one spot and keep being there the entire race. So you gotta learn not how to quit. So it's something that I've seen. I don't know if it's a generation thing, but I can see my kids sometimes, like they get beat once and it's like, oh, I quit, I want another game. I'm like, nah, you gotta go back in there.
Yeah, gotta keep
beast it, make that game your, and because I remember, like I almost broke a I think I did break a fair amount of controllers growing up, but that's how you learn how to persevere. Like I just playing FIFA on like FIFA. Oh god, that's how much I'm dating myself. Like playing FIFA on Mega Drive, like FIFA 94, 95. Like
oh yeah,
controllers flying around the room, and it's. But again, like after a while, after you've learned how to deal with the frustration, you're just going back in there and you're like, okay, it's my turn to win now, and it teaches you to never give up and trying to get better. So there's always good things to be learned from many situations. I think that's what video games do. They can be, this is my what's it called, PSA? Yeah, my PSA for video games. Like, look, you can look at it as this complete evil thing. If your kid's playing Call of Duty 10 hours a day, then yeah, maybe. But it can also be a tool to get better, on a personal level. So,
and it's also just a really good stress release as well, and a little bit of escapism as well. Yeah, exactly. And when I was growing up, I didn't have it so much to myself, but I had friends that would get bullied, and the way they would escape from that was playing a game. So there's a lot of good things that come from it.
But you see, and that's a good thing that we are, as our generation of parents, are aware of that, because growing up, so you see, for example, my dad, like I was free to play video games whenever I wanted, right? There was no limits to how many hours I could do, or if I could, obviously weekdays, school nights, it'd be like, okay, it's 10 o'clock, please back it up now. But I was lucky enough to have a screen, not a TV, but a monitor. My mom bought me a PC monitor that was actually had a SCART at the back. So I had a monitor in my room and my Mega Drive, and then it became a PS1 and all that good stuff. But there was never any limits on what I could do or what games I could play. But I could really tell that my dad was like, every time he would walk into my bedroom to see me with a controller in the hand, he'd be like, almost rolling his eyes, like, oh god, you're wasting time. But it's that, to me, it was a good opportunity to do two things, right? Escape, because not, again, like I wasn't really bullied at school, but it's not an easy time when you're a teenage kid or when you're coming up to teenage years, right? So anything that can sort of take you away from that space, all the school kids that can be a-holes, you'll spend that time in video games. But then the other thing also was to learn English, because all the games were not all the games were translated. So I was like, okay, cool. That's another way I was like, playing Diablo 2 on PC. I was like, that game wasn't translated back in the days. Well, translation came later on, but it wasn't there to begin with. I was like, that, dictionary, bang, 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 what does that mean? So, that was also a good way to practice my English when I was, growing up. So it's all right. No, it's not all bad things. There's always one thing to be learned, or, there's always an upside. Not in every situation.
Yeah, definitely.
So is there anything else you'll think you'll pass on? Because you say you'll obviously, I think there's an easily digestible content out there now for kids. Like I got my wife and kid into the entire MCU. Like I started, like when MCU started, when it got big with Iron Man 1, the whole phase 1 was like getting to that place when it's now massive. But like phase 1, if you're already working with the MCU, you wouldn't take your wife, your girlfriend to the cinema to watch them just yet. It would be just you and your friends, maybe. It was like, it's a superhero movies. I'm not going to take anyone that really loves me in there. I'm just going to go with my friends. I'm just going to keep that separated for now.
So that was like the lucky thing with me. Like my dad would be like, James, get in the car. We're going to see Iron Man, or anything like that. I'm like, yep, let's go. And then my brother would tag along, and not so much my mom, but we'd always do these things. And I remember when Iron Man came out, and it was the post-credit scene with Nick Fury, and it was like, I'm assembling a team, and I'm like, eh? And my dad was like, what? what? He's just so excited.
Is he by himself and somebody going, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, there was a few people in the background that was like, oh yeah, or something like that. Me just being completely clueless.
Let's invest some money. Let's invest some cash in this. Let's make it happen. Yes.
Yeah.
But so what I meant is that now you easily can take anyone and everyone to watch any movie from the MCU when they all know what's happening. Like I got my wife into it. Now we watch every single movie, all the way from phase 1 all the way to the end up to now.
Yeah, exactly the same. Same with my wife as well. Yeah.
So is that something you'll revisit, for example? Something like that is there already somewhere in the back of your head like an entire 6 months of your life that is going to be booked just for you to get your kid to up to date, up to speed?
So
those movies.
Yeah, well, so again, obviously Disney Plus has got everything on there, so that's obviously a massive ease to showing. But yeah, it's something I would like her to do as long as it's something she's interested in. Again, it's like I may have it on the background if she sits and watches it and asks questions or just digest it. Then I'll be like, "Do you want to watch some more?" And potentially go off from there, kind of thing. But yeah, it's definitely something.
Start at 8 a.m. in the morning with the Iron Man 1 and just go like the 3 days marathon, just back to back to back, no sleep.
I did a marathon. I did a marathon with my dad in Piccadilly Circus. So it was Age of Ultron, and we got these ridiculously, stupidly cheap tickets. It was like £18 for the regular film, an extra tenner to watch all the previous films in the cinema. So I think it was something like 22 hours or something. Well, we missed a couple because there's obviously a couple of films that aren't that great, but we missed a couple. But so me and my dad, we watched practically all the in like this massive marathon with all these other guys, and and that was great. And I'd love to have some kind of experience like that with my daughter as well. If it's Marvel, if it's Pokemon, or just whatever it could be, even something she's interested in, because that's something I'm really looking forward to, is seeing what she generally gets herself into that I might enjoy, that I haven't got around to watching and stuff. Because I see so many quite good shows on Netflix that are really targeted for young kids that like self-conscious, and I'm like, I'd actually want to watch that, but
you can justify it by waiting a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a guy I used to work with, and he said that his son was very into troll hunters.
Hunters,
yeah. And he even said that, like, it was like, this is nothing I would normally watch, but my son loved it, so I sat and we watched every single episode and really bonded over it. I thought that was so cool. So so stuff like that I'm really looking forward to.
I mean, there's a lot of it happens a lot more than you think, but it's like suddenly you stumble across something that your kid's watching on Netflix or whatever on BBC, and okay, that's cool, and then you'll suddenly end up watching it with her. It's like, do not start another episode before I sit down. It's
it's really I was going to say it's really bad, but my daughter for the longest time has been watching Hey Doggy, and I actually really, really enjoy it. It's quite funny, and funny enough, a lot of nerdy references. There's a lot of there's loads of like superhero references, video game references. There's a whole Halloween one, and they're all dressed up as Scooby-Doo. There's no of the characters, they don't say anything, but they just dress up as them. Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was really cool, just to have like all these little things that again will influence kids potentially in the future.
If you want something that is really cool and also extremely sweet, it's this series called what's it called, Molang, which is like a French production, but it's not on Netflix, that thing right now, but it's on Tiny Pop on TV. If you're in the UK, Tiny Pop is like one of the leading on-air TV channels that these were like young kids programs.
Yes, Baby Shark,
this type of thing. But Molang is really sweet, and they do actually a lot of jokes. disclaimers. I used to work for a big TV company, and that actually owned Tiny Pub. So or used to own Tiny Pub, if you want to look it up.
Okay.
And when we got Molang in, we literally, me and my team would just sit around this very computer I'm recording this actually on, and we used to watch a bunch of episodes of Molang at work, and we're like, oh, suddenly it's 2 hours later, and you're like, oh god, no. So that was a great excuse to bring that one back home and just like get my daughter to watch it. All 5 seasons. They're fairly short as well, but like if it's something like that, it's funny because you like growing up, it's not something you look at it and you go like, but now suddenly when you're a parent, you're like, oh, it's actually, again, going back to the safety thing, it's super safe, it's super funny, and it's something you could also watch if you're drunk one evening on yourself. It's actually quite funny to watch. So here's one to add to your list if you want to.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll definitely look it
up. My usual question I have for other dads: how much, because you're massively into gaming, right?
Yeah,
that's one of your passion. How much time do you have now to spend gaming? Like, are you able to still, put a couple hours in every evening, or maybe a couple of times a week, maybe?
Yeah, it's kind of a couple of times a week. It's don't get me wrong, it's been difficult, and doing the whole YouTube thing obviously takes up a lot of time as well. So I'm trying to currently juggle being able to implement the two together, as in like gaming and YouTube, so I can actually finally play some games that I really want to, and also create content around it. But yeah, it's been difficult. I guess the saving grace has been the Nintendo Switch, just handheld gaming. It's so convenient to be able to play it, maybe half an hour before you go to sleep in bed and all that kind of stuff, even like commuting and stuff like that. It's been a massive benefit.
Here's my savior. So my Game Boy
Advance. Is that is that a modded one?
Yeah, that's one of the things I picked up. There you go. But video games, I've got myself into trying to understand the whole thing behind just not only just turning on it, oh, there it is, it worked, but how does it work, the how and why it works. Things I don't think I would have ever picked up otherwise, but I thought that was a pretty cool thing to learn, is how to restore those bad boys. But hey,
yeah, definitely.
All hail the Switch, because seriously, I have a Switch as well. I'm like, I'll be dead without it.
Yeah, definitely. It's the console. Just I do think it's like the console for dads at the moment. It may not be so much for it may not be so much for the social aspect, because the online stuff is dreadful.
Yes, absolutely.
To be honest, but just the general games are fantastic, and they really hit the retro as well, because obviously you've got
but you got a SNES and a NES.
Exactly. So so you get those type of things. Obviously they're doing a lot of remakes of like GameCube and Wii games, which again, a lot of the dads would have played potentially at the time. But again, just the mobileness of it, because there's no other real alternative other than just playing mobile games on your phone.
Which, I'm not too big on.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a big discussion with a fellow YouTuber down the warp pipe. We had a whole discussion about cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass, and it's not something I've really dabbled into yet. It's something I really want to, but the conclusion we kind of got to is, if you don't have a good enough internet, it's useless. Once 5G really hits a lot of more phones and it's better across the UK and just other places around the world, then that's a potential candidate for up against the Switch. Obviously Valve have got a new handheld that they just announced. I can't remember what they called it now.
Oh, Steam Deck.
Steam. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. Which I still don't think is really gonna be as big as.
I've watched a couple of videos on the technical side of it, which actually is fairly impressive for a
Oh
handheld
yeah,
console. That said, in terms of brand, if you compare it to Nintendo, like Nintendo can do whatever
yeah.
they want, it'll work at this stage. Well, maybe not because they had a Wii U and that didn't work at all. But in terms of handheld console, they can't get it wrong. It seems so.
Well, the
Good
other
luck with
thing you
Steam.
need to,
Yeah.
I was going to say, and one of the big things to weigh up on, like, yeah, the Steam Deck is going to be a monster of like RAM, power, all those type of things. But if you're on a bus, would you rather be playing on a £300 console or a £650 console?
Small PC,
it's you know what I mean. Like it's just that
Mm.
risk value as well. Obviously both are expensive, but one's obviously half the price of the other
Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
weight and all that kind of stuff. And
Battery life as well.
yeah, though I don't know. I think the Steam Deck actually might have better battery from what I've seen from the specs.
I think we'll judge once it's out, because I think
Oh,
right
yeah,
now
of course,
with
yeah, definitely.
the specs game is like it can
Oh
go
yeah,
for 24 hours. You'd be like, yeah, sure.
I swear the Nintendo said that originally the first one was going to be like 12-hour battery life, and there was like 2 hours.
Yeah, they did that. They were like, yeah, it's 12 or 14, something like that. It turns out it's not really at all, but yeah, it's funny like that, how those handheld consoles can really be I was gonna say a lifesaver, but that's a bit of a hyperbole there. But it can be a good solution to, once you become a parent, it's like you can't be bothered to be, in your gaming chair or in front of your TV until late at night. Just bring the games into your bedroom, which I guess is not what your other half is super happy about. But hey, you do what you gotta do sometimes.
Yeah, and the other thing I've started doing is, and this has all kind of come off from doing the YouTube stuff, is I actually invested in a decent laptop. So I've actually
I've seen that. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, there's a little hint to a video of mine. So I've got an actual gaming laptop, and I've been kind of using that like a Switch as well, just a bit of a grander scale, where I've got a kind of like a tray that's designed to put your laptop on, and it's even got a mouse mat engraved into it. So I can play again games on the laptop in bed, on the sofa, wherever kind of thing. So there's other ways of doing it as well, and gaming laptops have really picking up pace about what they can compact into it compared to like
really
big gaming computers. Yeah, definitely.
They can go to quite high-end specs on a laptop, which wasn't really a thing a few years back, and especially growing up, I remember like you could barely send an email on those things, and now it's running absolute beast of games. So it's quite impressive. How long are we? Cool. Now we've circled back. We've gone into gaming. Let's talk a little bit more about gaming. Let's leave the kid aside. You're no longer a parent. Let's talk about what you like. So a couple of questions. I mean, you're into, actually no. Let's keep the questions to the end, or the top three and all that stuff. I've seen your video of yourself going to the London gaming retro market. So if you're not from London, if you're not in the UK, if you listen from the US or whatever, we don't have that many retro gaming market in the UK.
No,
it's not that common. I know it happens a lot more in the US when you see all those videos of what we've got, but on a bigger scale, like in Portland, I think there's one. They've got a bunch around the like Seattle area. They've got a bunch of places that, because obviously that was the home of Nintendo of America. A bunch of developers used to be there in the 80s and 90s. So you had those garage sales, or come on, they call them, garage sales, isn't it?
Right. Or like flea markets. I always hear people getting ridiculous deals in flea markets.
Those videos make me angry.
Yeah.
So I look for $5. I'm like, come on, don't do it.
$10. I got this. That's like worth $1,000. I'm like,
don't you just want to punch your computer when you watch those videos? It's like, oh, I picked up two N64 for $10, and you're like,
yeah.
I will.
You son of a gun!
I will fly to the US and punch you in the face right now. Just don't stop talking. No, it's all good for them though. jealous, but like if you were in the same situation, you'd be like, life is
Yeah.
sweet. So I think we just narrowly missed each other at the London retro gaming market. We were discussing that before we hit record. Was that your first time? Was it something you go to often, or
so I have
something on your calendar like circled in red with a double circled?
So it's been, I want to say something like between 5 or 7 years since I last went to the London gaming market. So I saw it came up, and I had my YouTuber head on. I was like, oh, this could be great content. I could go down there, film. Well, so yeah, it seems to have been doing quite well as a video, and I'd shared it around, and a lot of people's feedback was like, thank you for doing this, purely because we don't get anything like this on our side either.
Yeah.
I even had someone from the UK message me saying, like, do they do these things elsewhere? And I was like, not so much. But one convention I recommend to people that if you want to get some kind of nerdy stuff in general is the MCM Comic Cons.
Yeah.
You got them in London, you got them in Birmingham, Manchester, Newcastle, all the major cities. And they have a lot of stalls that sell retro games, as well as obviously comics and figures and all those type of things. So there are things, they're very far and few between. But I did I did kind of circle it in the calendar to be of like, I'll go down there, do some filming, but I'm also going to have a budget and see what I can find. But like what we were talking about a bit before recording, my collection of games, I've already kind of got what I wanted, but everything I do want, it's a bit out of the price range. It's in the hundreds, and I know my wife would kill me if if I came back with something like a game that's worth like 100 quid or something like that. It's like that. In the video, I speak to a guy who's got a Ocarina of Time in case of the box. Right? That's 250 quid. And I zoom in on it because literally in time I'm like, my eyes lit up. I'm like, oh, I want this. Crazy money. I have actually got the copy already. It's just obviously not in the box, and my it kind of goes against my philosophy of things. Now, I don't know what you view on things, but I'd rather something was out of a box and appreciate it than being in the box, and that goes with like gaming figures and all those type of things. And
I think I'm the same. It's like, if you're gonna spend, and especially when there's something that bothers me, is like there's a lot of people that are collecting and they want the brand new in the box, or still on the plastic film, and fine, that's fine. But like, if you spend, you've seen a bunch of videos of people like spending like $1,000 if it's in the US on this brand new in the box in 1985 game that nobody ever touched, but nobody ever opened. Like, if you're going to do that, hopefully please tell me you've got the a dirty copy on the side, which is like just unboxed, just there with a crappy label. Like, please at least tell me that you're just not looking at it for that. Just to say, oh, I've got an expensive copy of XYZ game. But I agree with you, that if you're gonna spend money, like, play the game. Please play it. Open it.
Well, that's it. And like I mentioned down the warp pipe, he buys a lot of the collector's games. But so, for instance, like Super Mario All Stars for the Nintendo Switch, he bought that sealed because he knows that's got some kind of value to it, obviously. But then he bought it digitally, so he could play it, but also have a physical copy as well. Which, I think a lot of people are going down that route nowadays because of the accessibility of digital copies.
Exactly. That is, like, I did buy my All-Star on the Switch, and when I received the actual copy off Amazon, I went, should I? Should I just keep it wrapped? Should I just not touch it and keep it? And I couldn't do it. I was like, I could potentially resell this in 2, 3, 4, 10 years time. We don't know. And make maybe a little bit of money off it, but I just can't. Like, I just went, and it lasted 10 seconds where I literally had a copy in my hand. I went, and then eventually I open it. I can't just do that. It's no.
Yeah, like on that game, I was originally not going to even get it. Because I've got the original. Because I got the original Nintendo 64, the GameCube, and the Wii game. So I was like, is there any point? But then Mofo hit me.
Same.
And I was just like, oh crap, it's going to be limited release. And for some reason, Nintendo taking it down. And then you hear the stories of sculptors having these ridiculous prices. I'm like, well, I might as well. It's £40. It's not going to break the bank.
In the UK, we didn't seem to run out of copies. That's the weird thing. So I kept going back on like Twitter and social media, and it's like, can't find it. And I look where there's people where it's like, oh, US, Canada. And I was like, what are they talking about? Like, I can just literally go on Amazon right now and get a copy delivered tomorrow if I want to. I can go to Argos and find it like right there. So it was really weird.
Yeah, exactly.
It felt like the Nintendo fed on that notion that it's going to be very scarce and very hard to find. Whereas like here, it was like, go down to my local Asda and just like buy 5 copies if I wanted to.
It was such a weird marketing campaign. Like, it was a game that was going to sell crazy anyway. It would continue to sell crazy. Like, kids love Mario. Why would you prevent them from getting a Mario game? And there was a YouTuber I was watching, and he brought it up of, you gotta have a kid that goes around their friend's house. They're gonna be playing Super Mario All-Stars and be like, this is a great game, where can I get it? And they'll be like, oh, just go to a store, go there, and it won't be there. And that kid's gonna be disappointed, missing out on 3 fantastic games, or potentially have to cash out ridiculous money in the future. It just seems really weird.
This is where sometimes it's really frustrating to be part of like collecting video games, all video games, or now current video games. And it's like, it's all artificial, that this demand and those prices going up, because it's like you've seen it now being created artificially by Nintendo, because they say, oh, we're gonna make a very limited run of prints for that game, which is widely available everywhere. Somehow in the US it went crazy in terms of prices and people reselling them on eBay. It's all artificial. It's not real. And that's why it's painful when you go to the London retro gaming market and you see those things. It's like that game that you could have bought. Like, there's a lot of games I've seen that I owned growing up on the NES, on the Mega Drive. It's like I had that copy in my hand. Now it's worth £500. But like, why? It's not even a good game. Like, why is this? It's really frustrating sometimes.
So I spoke to one of the stall holders, and he didn't want to be filmed, so I didn't, and I also didn't want to share anything that he said to me, just in case he didn't want to bring up. But he did say it was okay to talk about these type of things. He just didn't want to be on camera or recording. So it's something I should have added. But anyway, he said to me, because I asked the question, where do you get these prices? Like, how do they fluctuate and stuff? And he just said, eBay. That's where it all comes from. There's not a website or anything like that. It is literally down to someone sells it for this, someone markets it for higher. Will someone pay for that? So on and so forth, until it hits that price of no one's going to pay that. Okay, we're going to drop it down. And it all just fluctuates on eBay, and that is the pure thing. Obviously you can get these things evaluated, like everything. There's always evaluators for stuff.
It's like, where do they get those prices from? The evaluation.
Again, I think it's just research. It's like I said about the whole Ocarina game being 250. The guy really kindly explained, if it was cellophane wrapped with its original wrapping, it would have been 400 quid. It just like crazy things like that just adds to these values, and people are willing to pay it. Like, I think the original copy of Super Mario or something, there was a Super Mario game recently that sold for like 650 grand or something crazy. And it's like hit the record of like, or maybe it was in the millions, I can't remember. It was like really ridiculous, but it was like it hit the most expensive game ever sold, and because it was in the original box and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's just the whole bidding process, isn't it? Someone's got to willingly pay for these things, so you just keep bidding.
I remember watching this documentary and somebody was literally looking for those games to resell, and it was like he
Yeah,
was really looking, like spending time in looking at even the where the plastic film is joined around,
yeah,
where the two pieces that are stuck together. Is that, well, if there's a little hole there, if there's a little gap, that's losing a value of like $10,000. Like I can, like instead of making 150 grand on it, I can only ask 120. Like, literally
yeah.
just that little bit there, because it's not put together right, or how it was originally. You just lost a bunch of money.
Also, it's very lucky on what your barcode says.
Yeah, yeah.
Stupid things like that. Like if it was a really early digit barcode, or just like product number or anything like that, can add value as well.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just the weirdest things. I don't know. So obviously there's different variations in games. Like what was it? I think Super Mario World. There's two or three different versions. One that was the first iteration of the game, and then there's another one's different label and different things. It's like some of them have hold a higher value, and some of them don't. I think it's just somebody out there just making up some random quotes and going, yeah, that
one. That's always kind of been my impression at the start. And then, like I say, this guy explained it quite in detail, more detail to how I explained it. But yeah, yes, it's just all down to willingness, basically, of people, how much they want to shed their money. Just going on something, actually, like the only thing we really have in the UK for buying retro games is that one store. I've got to try and pronounce it well, but like CEX.
Oh, CES. Watch out how you pronounce it. CEX.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be so careful when you go Google
Exchange.
Yeah, going onto Google Images, you have to be careful.
Yeah, watch out how you spell it, please. Make sure it's C.
But you know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the only place you can really get any old games, and they have some stupid marketing of how prices are as well.
They can be terrible. Yeah, I went down to my local one the other day, and they had a PlayStation 5 there. They were selling it for £1,200 for a PS5. I'm like, there's no way you can justify that. Like, I've seen scalpers on Facebook Market and different places now. They can't really ask for high prices anymore. So even computer exchanges is playing some stupid games. I don't know what they're doing, but like, if you go on Facebook Market now, people are reselling them for 500, 600 maybe tops.
Yeah,
but it's not the same high prices as it was when it came out last November, so October. So anyway, last year. So
they were going for crazy.
They were going for crazy. The funny thing was the PS5. I could have done that also with the whole scalping thing. For funny reason is that, so I bought mine. I managed somehow by some bit of luck, I guess, to get it on pre-order from Argos again, like just out of nowhere. Just went, there you go, bought one. I was like, okay, great. Everybody else online is like, come get one. I was like, I literally just did, I don't know, maybe I'm just born lucky. And then again, without saying their names, a few years back in those days when the PS5 came out, I used to work for the company that was making PlayStations. Connect the dots. Who I used to work for, and at one point they were like, hey, if you come to the office now, we've got like 50 of them lying around the office if you want to buy it for the market price, the resale price. And I went, nah, I don't need it, I just got mine. And then I sat down for about 20 minutes. I went, should I be this bastard? Should I be that one guy that's gonna get another unit and just resell it on eBay and make a bunch of money? But then I was like,
or you could have been that hero friend that your mate couldn't get one, and you swoop in and say, dude, I've got you. Here's one. But still, where's the 550 quid?
But still, I mean, for 800, obviously you get it, but because you're my friend. Now it was one of those moments where I went, I'm too nice. Like I should have just gone into the office and pick it up, pay the price, and then like either do what you said, it's just like I just go to a friend who's in need of one, and say, okay, this is how much I got it for. Just give me £5 more, just for the inconvenience of my time. Or just buy it off the same price. But then Oh yeah, I don't know why I didn't do it. It's just one of those weird moments. I look back at it and I was like, oh god, what? What? I think I was too happy getting my hands on mine. I think
I was going to say it was your little angel on your shoulder saying.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Right, I think we're getting to the end of this app. Let's finish this because I think I could talk for another 2 hours, but I don't want to do that. 2 quick fire round questions. We're gonna go with your top 3 favorite consoles. What do you got? Start with number 3.
God, all right, okay. So number 3 for me would probably be the Nintendo Switch, actually.
All right, already so young yet so high on the list. Oh.
Again, it's that convenience. It's just so impactful, and I don't think I've purchased like so many games in my lifetime in such a short period as well. Like, it's just one of those consoles that I just kept buying stuff for.
It's one of those. It's like the Nintendo games are still very expensive, never drop down in price. But then the third party games, it's just like suddenly it's like, hey, it's £2 for this, and you're like,
I was gonna say, like, indie games on that. Like, I never used to play indie games, and that's mainly what I play now because it's so accessible on that console. It's fantastic.
They're good quality. They always were made.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a sneaky suspicion you're gonna go with another 2 Nintendo consoles for 1 and 2. I don't know why.
I was going to say, if you gave me a number 4, I would have actually said the Xbox 360.
Oh no! All right, cool.
Yeah, because I again, an amazing console and fantastic games, but didn't make the list.
Number 2,
sadly.
Number 2.
Yeah, number 2. Number 2 is the Nintendo DS.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why. Again,
handheld, fantastic, amazing games on it, and so many developers jumped to it, and it didn't have the problems that the 3DS had, which had a lot of issues that not many people talked about. But yeah, the DS was just phenomenal, and everyone had one, which was the other nice thing, that you could connect with so many different people. And it was, again, a lot of this comes into like parts of my life, but yeah, DS was fantastic. So yeah, DS number 2 for me.
Also, the reason why it's super cheap to collect for these days.
Yes,
if you want to get into it, it's almost free at this stage. Well, maybe not the console, but the games are dead cheap. And number 1, I know you're going to say N64.
No, but you've got it in your background.
Oh, that one. No, sorry, that one.
yeah, the GameCube. I am a GameCube man from day or die. It is the honestly, GameCube to me was the console that got me fully into gaming. Like I said, I had the Mega Drive, I had the Nintendo 64, which I played games, but I was never that good at because of the age range I was. But once the GameCube came out, that is the moment when I was playing, Legend of Wind Waker, Sunshine, Mario Kart Double Dash, and just dabbling in so many other games. Like, again, I said about the Switch buying so many games, but the GameCube, I bought loads and loads of games. I was getting all the magazines that said anything about GameCube just so I could learn more about it. And I don't know if this is going to be the next question, but all-time favorite game was on the GameCube as well. Is that going to be next question?
Yeah, that was going to be a question. Just like a top.
Okay, I won't say what it is yet, but yeah, it was on the GameCube, and I repeatedly played that game. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
We need to talk maybe on another episode, but because I want to do a very specific episode one day on not the favorite consoles, but like the people's favorite controllers. Also the worst, like the least like controllers. Also, like I want a top 10, maybe not top 10, top 6 controllers, and maybe like a bottom 3 controllers, because as much as I love the GameCube, I like the design of the console. Like, I like just this box that is there. I find it so freaking awesome. But the controllers I always felt like it got in the way in certain games. That's the thing. Like, Nintendo is very hit or miss with me in controllers.
So I won't talk too much about it. It's going to be a future video, so look out for it. But there's a lot you can do with the GameCube controller, and there's a lot of reasoning why it was designed the way. But
okay, say no more. I'm wait for your video, because I'm actually extremely intrigued and interested in that, because there's the N64 and the GameCube. Those two controllers, like, they got in the way of me enjoying games on multiple
I agree with the
occasions.
Nintendo 64.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
64 makes me want to. So I had to buy the, again, we're going off topic, but the N64, the Brawler, is it that third party controller?
Yeah, the one that kind of formed. Yeah, it was quite blocky, but yeah, I had that as well. Yeah.
So that saved the day for the 64, and for my love relationship with the N64, that sort of saved it. But I'm still looking for something that is equivalent on the GameCube. So I don't know. One day we'll wait for your video maybe. Right. So you've guessed it. Top 3 games can be across any consoles. Can be on PC even if you had that. But
yeah,
top 3 games. That's a tough one. That one. It's like.
See, like I always have number 1 as an easy pick, but 2 and 3 is always really difficult for me. So I used to say my number 3 was Sonic Adventure Battle 2, and I used to say it, and then I replayed it not too long ago, and I realized how terrible a lot of it is. It was all the nostalgia goggles on, but still, I'm gonna say say that as my number 3 because there's
the emotional value and everything else around it.
It's terrible voice acting aside and terrible controls at times, but the gameplay itself is exciting and the music is fantastic. And just level design and everything that I really enjoyed immensely. Number two, God, so that's another difficult one. So I'm going to say it. So it's actually going to be a PC game, so it's going to be a bit of a throw to one side for me, but only because I've actually started replaying it because of getting a new computer. It's a series, but it's the Dawn of War series.
Oh, right.
So I was never much of a PC gamer when I was a kid, but there was a game that there was Dawn of War that my friend was playing, and we were very into Warhammer around that time as well. And so that dived into my interest. And again, I could spend hours of playing that game. And I have spent quite a few hours already just replaying a game that came out like 15 years ago. And, to me, it still holds up. And I speak to quite a few other PC gamers and they say, yes, still one of the best RTS games out there. So, so I'm rekindling my love for that at the moment.
I need to get into it. It's a funny one because it's like everyone that I know is in love with that game or had like an absolute blast playing it growing up, and it's like I never actually played it. I know of it and I know people that love it, and I've seen a bunch of absolute insane amount of videos on YouTube about it, but like I never got my hands on it. Maybe I should just download it. I just got myself a new PC, so maybe I'll.
It's really cheap to get to get all the games in one bundle, and the main thing to look at is the modding scene. The modding scene for that is unbelievable. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I'll give you some links to some stuff if you ever get down that route. But Dawn of War, fantastic game series. I have that as my number 2, and then number 1 is actually a video that I did. It was the second video actually I ever done on my channel, all about Tales of Symphonia, which is a JRPG. And for a JRPG that would probably spend about maybe 60 hours to play, I played through that game about 6 times when I was younger.
Is that the GameCube version, right?
That is the GameCube version, yes. I bought it on PlayStation 3. I don't own at the time I didn't own a PlayStation 3. Recently, my wife managed to get me a free one, which is its whole little story. But I've got it. So I've got a PlayStation 3 version, which was the collector's edition, and then I recently got it for the computer off Steam for the PC as well. Which on the Steam sale it was like £3, and I was like £3 for a HD version of my favorite game. You can't get any better than that. But absolutely amazing game, fantastic stories, and like for the genre, for the series of the Tales of, compare it to Final Fantasy VII. How that impacted JRPG for people and got them into the Final Fantasy series. Tales of Symphonia was that for them. for that series. You know, but it brought so many people into that brand, and I could talk about hours about that game. Just amazing.
You need to make more YouTube videos about it. It's just like the entire series. I mean, I'm sure. How many videos have you done on that game? Just the one, or
just the one? Purely because it was the anniversary of the Tales of series, which I think was like the 30th anniversary, and they announced that it was the best-selling Tales of game, and I got quite excited, so I did a quick video about it. Like I say, it was my second video, so the quality is pretty crap, but a lot of people that watched it said, like, you know, damn, he's got some passion for this game and stuff. But yeah, no, it is a fantastic game, and again, it's on Steam. I think it's normally £6, but it often does go down to like £3, which, you know, that's a Tesco's meal deal. You can...
And equally, I'm sure if you find it in a box, it'll be £600 somewhere. You know,
so one of the dream purchases is the green GameCube, which was sold as the Tales of Symphonia box. So if you remember, the GameCube has like a ring disc thing that you can pop out and put pictures in. They did one specifically for Tales of Symphonia, and it also has the Game Boy Advance adapter at the bottom. Which
I've seen somebody selling that somewhere. Yes,
about £800 going up to £1,000. I'm like, I'd love but
I'm pretty sure wasn't someone selling it at this year's retro gaming market?
They may have done. I didn't notice. If I saw it, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I'd probably
you'd probably be divorced and on the pavement right now, just on your phone, just calling that. Yeah, I may be single, but look what I've got. Look at that GameCube. That's actually funny you mentioned that. The one thing I'm after right now is the Game Boy player for the GameCube. I would love to have that.
Yeah, and the game.
Disc.
I was going to say, the play itself is fairly easy to get. So the disc itself is so difficult, and people have tried to make like a emulated disc for it, but it's so hard. Just
looking it up, just the disc itself goes for £80, £100, and like the player itself is fairly cheap, but like the entire thing, there you go, £150 for this for it.
Yeah,
the disc is just mental. I don't want to spend that right now. Right, well, how far have we gone? Yeah, all right, cool. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of this one, but I guess we'll have you back on, James, at some point. We'll
thank you.
Either if it is for if it's talking about controllers, or if it's talking maybe like a special GameCube episode,
anything. Yeah, definitely. I like we said about, I love so many nerdy things. I did message you about I like anime as well, so if there's this thing,
well, we've got an anime queen, which is Sarah. We've offered you with another episode on anime content, so maybe you'll come in and battle.
I don't think I'll be. I was going to say, I don't think I'll be able to fight her, but
no, we don't want you. We don't want you to, but it would be fun to see. Because as much as my knowledge of anime is fairly limited to, it is limited to Dragon Ball, which is like literally my go-to thing. It's like, I love Dragon Ball. That's the only Japanese animated piece of content I ever watched. So I'm like, every time there's an anime episode, I'm like, you guys do it, and I'll just stand in the corner and
sit back
and enjoy it. I do get a lot of recommendations from JC and Sarah because they love the anime. So if you can bring somebody else in to add to the spice, that'll be cool. Right, James, why don't you plug your own stuff, your YouTube channel and who you are and all your socials and all that good stuff.
So look out for How to Game Differently.
Just look that up on YouTube.
Yeah, I was going to say my own little plug in the background. How to Game Differently. If you're interested in looking at different ways to play video games, and also a bit of news and a little bit of this as well. So I've got my own little podcast going. I've got a lot of discussion videos. There's a really cool one that I'm working on at the moment, where I've actually interviewed a indie developer. So definitely look out for that. Really excited for when that comes out. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. Instagram, it's just at How to Game Differently. Twitter, it's it's a HTG differently. Instagram, I've put up a few different like pixel art and just photo shoots of games and such, similar to yourself as well. But yeah, definitely check out these, and I guess that's as much plugging as I can. I could plug for hours because there's so many people. I know we're short for time, but one of the cool things I've found, and I'm sure you're the same, doing these type of things, you meet so many cool different people, don't you?
Indeed, yeah. And the funny thing is that you think you know a lot, and then people start talking about their own like vision of what a video game is and like their history with it. That's why I like love making those episodes. It's like suddenly people are like, well, this is what this game means to me. It's like, you know, and that's something I found really cool. It's like something that somebody like a game that you may have seen there like, it's a bit shit, and then somebody to somebody else it's everything. And that's why exactly, because there's that connection with it, and this is what I really love, and the knowledge and passion that other people have. It's always, I always find it awesome. So yeah, no, you're quite right. I think we're pretty much in the same sort of space there. It's like you get to meet a whole bunch of different people, and you share the one thing in common. Well, many things in common, but
yeah, definitely,
yeah. All right, cool. We'll have you back on some point, James. We'll have you back on. We'll talk.
Thank you.
We'll talk controllers. Anyway, this is my turn to plug my own stuff. What else? Say? Thank you for listening. That's what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought there. Thanks for listening to another episode of Catching Up with the Nerds. You can catch us also anywhere on social media. It's like James there. We just look up Catching Up with the Nerds. We'll show up anywhere and everywhere. We're basically apparently we're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. I didn't say that, but thanks to everyone on Instagram who's listening, because we've just crossed 1,800 subscribers there. We are quickly getting to 1,900, and I think I'll do another giveaway for 2,000 because we got somebody who won it. That was in Australia. That was an expensive giveaway, but it's worth it. It's fun. It's fun. It's funny. It was funny. There's a story in there as well, but I won't go in there. Catching Up with the Nerds everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, we're there too. And then on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcast, apparently, and anywhere and everywhere you can listen to us. Also on YouTube, please subscribe on YouTube.
Do subscribe. Yes, do subscribe.
Doing very bad on YouTube. I don't know what to do. Just like us. Damn it. Anyway, this was Catching Up with the Nerds with James from How to Game Differently. Thank you, James, for joining us. We'll catch you.
Thank you for having me.
Next episode, and our pleasure. We'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.